Hello, welcome to the BT Sports Scores studio. We're going to be live as usual this afternoon with all the scores up and down the country. And before we do that, we thought we would talk through some England stuff with you guys. We've got the two England members of our panel with me on Facebook Live right now, Jermaine Jenas and Chris Sutton. And it's off the back of what we saw this week in the Champions League in Rome, guys. A few potential members of the England squad for the World Cup this summer performing extraordinarily. So we've asked you to both pick who you would play in England's first game in the group stages at the World Cup, which is, by the way, is only 44 days away. I don't know where the season's gone. It's England against Tunisia. So let's take a look at Chris's team first. And Chris, you've gone with the current formation that Southgate tends to be using. You've gone for the 3-5-2.
Yep.
And talk us through your team then. So you've gone Butland in goal.
Yeah, I can't remember, actually. Butland in goal. The goalkeeper one's a difficult one. I think it could be, Butland or Pickford. I've edged towards Butland. I think he has a bit more presence. At the back, JJ's going to mock this one. Gary Cahill. But I think as of late,
I wouldn't mock that.
Well, you nearly did. I think as of late, he's actually performed well and have just gone for that experience. I think the other two, although there is an argument, John Stones hasn't played enough for Manchester City. But I think, he's a player very good on the ball. Kyle Walker, Gareth tried him. I think he's a good player on that right side. Good legs, good pace. Trippier's a better crosser. I think they'll play him just up one. Bertrand over Danny Rose, I think. And then Milner and Henderson.
Yeah, I think that the midfield tends to be what everyone's talking about at the moment, particularly with Oxlade-Chamberlain getting injured in the Champions League last week. It means that obviously, I assume you guys maybe would have both had him in your starting 11. Would you have?
The Ox?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
So who's come in for him then, Chris? In your
James
team?
Milner.
Milner. Okay.
Just a player on form at the moment. Good experience and he's hit top form. That's why I would have him in. And, there's I know JJ will probably go for Eric Dyer because he's Spurs. Not just because he's Spurs, but I think just Milner's, hitting form at the right time. Champions League fun. He's going to go into the World Cup with plenty of adrenaline, so I'd go for him. OK, Kane and Sterling feature in both your teams. They're probably the two most nailed on to start for England at the moment that are guaranteed their place. So let's look at Jermaine's team then, and then we can discuss the differences between them. So, Jermaine, different goalkeeper for you?
I think Pickford is the strongest we've got right now, personally. I think Butland, I like his stature, I like his presence, but I think he's having a tough season. I've not really seen him, I suppose, show me the level of consistency needed to go to a major tournament. And I think Pickford has just edged it out of all of the goalkeepers that probably will be going.
Much in it?
Probably not much, no. I think it's a competition between the both of them. And I think Nick Pope's probably been the best out of all of them, to be honest with you. But I think leaning on probably experience playing for England and so on, it might be a bit much to be going to a major tournament and starting straight away for him right now. But in terms of the side, so...
Well, you've gone for a different formation to Chris.
Well,
so you've gone for this 4-2-3-1, similar to the Tottenham system, it has to be said.
Yes, correct. I think, yes, he tried the three at the back. Against Brazil and Germany, and I think that's a system we'll see when he comes up against the better sides in the competition. I think they'll revert to that to give him a bit more strength and pace at the back. I think that's what he's worried about, which is why we saw Kyle Walker there.
You don't think he'll start with the three?
I don't know if he will. No, I'm not 100% sure he will. Purely and simply because at the top end of the pitch, it's kind of what happens then, and kind of what are you. You have to get Sterling in there. You've got to get, obviously, Dele in there. He likes Lingard as well. And I just think you start to lose a bit at the top end of the pitch if you're going to go with the three at the back. I liked it, but I think it'll be something that he maybe reverts to when we come up against Belgium and then tougher games. So, yeah, the two in midfield, which we spoke about, they're there as a solid foundation, really. I went with Wilshere, as you said, as you was going to probably ask me early on in the year. He's gone off the boil. Unfortunately, Jack.
Because for you earlier on in the season, I think when we were talking about Jack Wilshere, you said that you would take him to the World Cup regardless of whether he starts for Arsenal. He has been getting the minutes, but just not been performing for you.
I said I'd take him, I didn't say I'd start him. And
I don't think he can start, I agree with you.
No, don't get me wrong, we need a ball player in there, but I just think we've got so many creative players that we need the foundations in the centre apart that are going to sit in there whilst everybody else is bombing on and attacking are important. So,
do you trust Harry Maguire?
Not 100%, no, if I'm totally honest with you. Again, he's another one, I think he just won Leicester's Player of the Year, to be honest with you, I don't know how to take, if you know what I mean, because I don't think it's been a great season.
Of all your
for
defenders,
Leicester.
he's had the most starts of any of them.
Yeah, Leicester have started to leak goals, haven't they? I've just gone for Cahill for experience. I was
Okay.
thinking Cahill or Maguire, and I think Maguire lacks a little bit of pace.
See, my battle was more between Stones and Cahill.
Okay.
I was very...
Why Stones over Cahill then for you?
Stones has not played any football at all for the last, what,
It's an issue.
three months. And there's something there in a winning side for a manager like Pep Guardiola to have started with him and stuck with him for a period of time. And then he's obviously seen something over the last couple of months that's made him not only go and buy another centre-half, but to not play him. I mean, John Stones is essentially the fourth-choice centre-half now at Manchester City, and there's rumours are rumours, but there's talk about him leaving. And it's just, he's a good player, you know, he's a top player, going into a major tournament.
Yeah.
I went with Stones, but I could have easily woke up tomorrow and gone, I'll put Cahill in.
Crowbar Danny Rose in, though.
Yes, I noticed that.
He's not been playing regularly.
He hasn't, and I think within certain positions on the pitch, we are not...
He starts today as well.
We don't have that luxury, and I think he will get a couple of games in before the tournament starts.
One today, at least.
And our other option is
You'd
Bertrand.
have him over Bertrand.
I think I would,
Well,
yeah.
that's actually a question that's come in on Facebook. Well, an opinion. Glyn Jones says he would have Ashley Young over Bertrand.
Oh, that's an
Chris, you
interesting-
put Bertrand in
he's
your
had a
team,
good
so would
season.
you?
Yeah.
Would you consider Ashley Young at all?
I trust Bertrand defensively more than I do Ashley Young, albeit Ashley Young's had a good season.
OK, a lot of comments about James Milner. Now, JJ, he's not in your team. You've gone for Dyer
play for
instead of
Spurs.
him. So, Stephen Kelly says, would you ask Milner to come out of retirement? Hilary Attard says, we need Milner in Russia. Your thoughts, Jermaine, then?
Coming out of retirement's a very weird situation.
It is, isn't it?
I know there's a clamour for it. No, purely and simply because it's the impact that it can have on a squad. What message are you sending to your squad when you have to bring a player out of retirement to come back into the team?
But they need him. And I actually think it has the reverse of what JJ is saying. I actually think it will lift the squad. A player is going to play in the Champions League final, coming in to the team. He's been brilliant as of late, so I think that would give the squad
He deserves it.
massive
He's been
boost.
absolutely
No, he
brilliant
deserves it.
in
He's been
both
brilliant.
legs against Roma, hasn't he?
He's been brilliant.
Obviously, he gave away the penalty.
It's
but...
essentially probably been one of his best seasons.
And scored
you
an own
know,
goal.
within the
And
Premier
scored an own goal, but let's forget about that.
But this, I don't see James doing it. You know, he strikes me as a person. You know, I played with him as a young player when he was at Newcastle. He's very, you know, level-headed, but he's got a strong mind as well. Feels like when he makes a decision, he'll stick by it. And Gareth Southgate might dangle that carrot and say, do you fancy it? But he also likes to promote youth. You know, there's players like Lewis Cook that he seems to have a lot of faith in as well. There's Jake Livermore he has a lot of faith in. There's players that he has a lot of faith in that have done a lot for him during his managerial
Your
period.
best players going to the World Cup. And, I don't think Livermore's in the same league as Milner. Milner's hitting form at the right time. He has to go. They have to drag him out.
Yeah, what do you guys think at home? We did a poll on this. I know you like our polls, Chris.
Love a poll.
Should Gareth Southgate get on the phone to James Milner and persuade him to go to the World Cup? 67% say yes.
You know what? When I was watching, obviously, Liverpool go through this unbelievable period that they're going through, and we had Alex fit and firing, and I was looking at it going, hang on a minute. We've got Henderson, Milner and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in midfield here, starring in Europe. Just pick it up and chuck it into the World Cup squad. It's perfect. And, you know, at that point I thought, yeah, great. Taking Alex out of that equation, you know, I'm not sure, you know, how James would function in a two, for example.
He didn't think Ox could play in there.
Did he not?
I think he said that earlier on in the season. He didn't think Ox could play there. He was better in the wide area.
In earlier the season, in fairness, I mean, it took him a while to get himself into the Liverpool setup. I'm sure looking at it now, he'd say definitely,
Jermaine, Jesse Lingard in your team. Make a case for him because he clearly hasn't been overly fancied by his club manager, Jose Mourinho. Again, didn't start last night.
Neither's Rashford, though, is he? I mean, Rashford might have started last night, but that whole situation at United is just crazy, you know, which is why I think if you speak to a lot of Man United fans, a lot of them, a huge percentage of them, will be quite happy to see Mourinho leave at the end of this season. I just think Lingard, he brings goals, he brings assists, he's got to play to his game.
Where's his best position? You had him off the left.
Yeah, I think he can play off the left. Because if you watch him, he's disciplined in defensive situations where he goes back into his position, but he can drift and he can come into more central areas and make things happen.
Do you not think Rashford's more of a threat off the left than Lingard?
In certain games, maybe. But I like the not defensive side to Lingard's game, but Rashford is more of a dribbler, and he wants to get on it and run at people, which is fine. But I like the fact that, you know, balls come into Lingard, he nicks them round the corner, and when we move the ball quicker, we look better. So
I don't think
that
you
is
can
my
have him
basis
off-
for
I
it.
don't I don't think you can play him off the left. I don't think he offers the threat of others like Rashford. I don't think that's Lingard's best position.
OK, James Stevens has commented and said that he would play Loftus-Cheek. Now, can you see Gareth Southgate taking him and starting him?
No.
No, I can't, but it wouldn't surprise me if Gareth took him because he likes the young players.
I think he will take him. I think his timing is run perfectly, Loftus-Cheek, to coming in some good form, he'll go.
Lewis Cook played in the last game for England in the friendlies. Ryan Ulrico is asking, would you take him? And what about Glenn Murray?
I don't know how many players we're taking. Glenn Murray, don't be
Take them all.
ridiculous, Jules. Glenn Murray, no.
No to Glenn Murray.
no.
Lewis Cook, Jermaine?
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm trying to just, like Chris just said, like, how many are going?
We've got 12 midfielders,
Central midfield area, yeah. I mean, what are you going? Like Henderson, Milner, Dyer, Henderson,
Milner.
Dyer.
Milner.
He's got Milner now.
No, what it is,
We've convinced you.
I like Milner, and I think I'd be quite happy to take him. My point was, I don't think he'll come out of retirement.
Okay.
I think he will make the decision and he'll stand by it. So we can say as much as we want. I just don't think he will do it.
All right, let's move on to the forwards. Now, you've both gone for Harry Kane. You've also both picked Dele Alli as well, and Sterling.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about Harry Kane, because obviously he got this injury several weeks ago now. Since he's come back, Jermaine, he doesn't seem to be the same old Harry Kane before this injury. Has he come back too soon?
Possibly. Possibly he rushed it a little bit and maybe still is carrying a bit of an issue. But the fact of the matter is, with him coming back early, that's going to help England.
Yeah.
It might not help Tottenham, but it will be perfectly finely tuned by the time. He needed that 5 or 6 games under his belt before he went to the World Cup, and he's going to have that. So for England, he'll be spot on and flying.
He wants to win the Golden Boot, and he probably rushed back himself, said to Pochettino, I want to play, stick me in. Hasn't helped himself, but there's plenty of time.
Jermaine, you were called up in 2006 and you were actually injured, weren't you? You did manage to recover in time for the World Cup. Mentally, how much does that play on your mind leading into a tournament where you're going to play for your country? He's probably so desperate. You know how it feels like.
I needed the games. I know I needed the games. When I went away, I was just slightly off it, kind of in the training sessions and in the pre-match, the pre-games that we had. And it was because I had 3 weeks. I missed the last 3 weeks of the season with a stress fracture in my shin, but they still took me. And you can do all the running and all the training that you want. You need the games just to kind of be finely tuned. That's where Harry Kane will be fine.
OK. A few questions coming in about Ryan Sessegnon. Lots of people saying he should be on the plane. Was this your wild card pick?
Rogue, yeah.
OK, tell me your wild card picks then, guys.
Well, Sessegnon, I think that left-back position is an issue. Danny Rose, a player last season, you're thinking,
that much of an issue.
Stick on. He's
An issue? Rose and
but
Bertrand?
you're asking me who my Rose player would be, Sessegnon over Rose.
Wow.
Wow. OK, Jermaine?
What, my wild card pick?
Your wild card pick.
I've gone for Jamal Lascelles.
Wow, OK.
Actually, yeah.
He's been good this season.
Been very, very
Over
good.
who?
Well, no, listen, we're not going
that's
down
what
this
I
road.
want to know. I want to know over who.
All right, take your pick. I know Tarkovsky can come out if he wants.
He wasn't in anyway.
Well, we never know. I'm talking squad. I'm not talking starting. I just think that he is a player that had a fantastic season. He's a leader within his own team. He's played a massive part getting them to where they are.
Yeah.
Ball player as well. He's very decent with his feet. Got pace. All the things that I think Southgate could be looking for in either a back 3 or a back 4. So yeah. Jamal
OK,
Lascelles.
before we go, how far can England go in this competition then, Jermaine? With the team that you've picked, with the team that Gareth Southgate ends up
I don't
picking,
think
how
not
far
very
will
far.
they go?
With Jermaine.
It all depends on players catching fire. I've got them down as probably getting to about the quarterfinals.
Chris, will it affect England at all going into the tournament, not having a nailed-on captain? They haven't got a nominated captain yet.
It's Harry Kane, captain.
You think Harry Kane will be captain?
Definitely.
Chris, will it affect them? Because that's not
Jordan
it's not
Henderson
been
should
picked-
be captain.
But it's not been picked yet. Will that affect the players?
I don't think so. Well, I wouldn't have thought so. I think the players are just concentrating on
He's
themselves
definitely-
individually.
He's definitely missing out on a few deals before the World Cup, I'll tell you that.
You've been in England squads, though. Do you
Yeah.
not want to have that leader, that person?
It doesn't mean anything
doesn't
to
mean
me
anything.
at all.
OK.
No, that it didn't. When I went away in 2006 and Bex was our captain, yeah, brilliant, he was our captain, but John Terry was just as much of a leader on a weekly basis, and Rio, everyone kind of pitched in. So.
Has to be Henderson. He'll win the Champions League and take that into the World Cup.
OK, quarterfinals for you, England? You're not very positive.
Semi-final.
Oh!
No, I'm only joking. Last 16.
Last 16. That's with your team. With JJ's team, quarterfinals?
They'll barely get out of the group. No, I was only joking.
Nice one, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to be live on air this afternoon on BT Sports Score. Make sure you join us then for all the scores up and down the country and an exclusive interview with Steven Gerrard as well. See you then.